Hey guys, it's Chiromius. Today I want to talk about my thoughts and feelings about Where Winds Meet after almost 500 hours of playtime. This is not a guide, it's not a tutorial, it's just an honest discussion about the game, what I enjoy about it, what I think could be improved, and where I feel the game currently stands. First of all, I want to make one thing clear. I've had an absolute blast playing this game. When Where Winds Meet launched around 4 months ago, it felt like something special. The game peaked at around 251,000 players on Steam alone, and if you combine all platforms, the numbers were easily in the millions. People were jumping in everywhere, exploring the world, testing builds, discovering puzzles, and figuring out systems together. And honestly, the first experience was fantastic. The graphics are beautiful, the world design is incredible, and the amount of content available when the game launched was actually pretty impressive. There's exploration everywhere, puzzles hidden across the map, different activities, bosses, raids, PvP, minigames, gear progression systems, there's a lot going on. And for someone like me who enjoys MMOs and open world progression games, that kind of environment is perfect. I love logging into the game and just having a massive list of things I can do. Go explore something, hunt for chests, fight bosses, test builds, experiment with combat. That's the kind of freedom that keeps me playing, and for hundreds of hours that's exactly what I did. I explored everything I could find, fought every boss, completed the puzzles, tested the mechanics, I pushed PvP, and just experienced as much of the game as possible. Up until now I've reached almost 500 hours, and most of that time was genuinely enjoyable. Now let's talk about Hexi, because that's where things became interesting for me. When Hexi was first announced, I was extremely excited. A brand new region, new enemies, new systems, it sounded like a massive update for the game. Around that time I actually took a short break from the game while waiting for the expansion to launch in February, but then the release got delayed, and during that waiting period I barely played at all. So when Hexi finally launched, I was genuinely excited to jump back in. I opened the game, went straight into the new content, and started progressing through the main questline. To be honest, it took me about 3 days to finish the story, and the reason is I got bored doing it. Again, I want to emphasize something here because people sometimes misunderstand this kind of feedback. The story itself wasn't bad, but I personally got bored while doing it. Not because it lacked meaning, but because the pacing was slow and I was more interested in the gameplay system and combat rather than the extended dialogue sequences. Once I finished the questline, I finally got the chance to fully explore Hexi itself, and visually, Hexi is amazing. The desert environment looks incredible, the atmosphere feels completely different from the previous regions, and the scenery is genuinely beautiful. There are new monsters to fight, new oddities to discover, new chests to find, and new areas to explore. From a visual and environmental design perspective, it's fantastic. But after exploring the region for a while, something suddenly clicked in my mind. I realized the core gameplay loop hadn't really changed. Yes, the environment is new, yes, the enemies are different, but the things I'm actually doing in the game are basically the exact same activities I was doing hundreds of hours ago, just with a different background. And that's where my biggest issue with the game currently comes in. Everything feels extremely time-gated. Almost every important system revolves around waiting for timers. You have energy limits, weekly bosses, daily activities like flower gathering, and various progression systems that only move forward once certain timers reset. So the gameplay loop often looks like this. You log in, you spend your energy, you kill some bosses, you open some chests, you tune your gear until it reaches the recommended stats, and then you wait for the next reset. The next day you come back and do the exact same process again. At first, the system feels fine because you're still discovering new content, but after hundreds of hours it can start to feel repetitive. Another thing that started to feel strange to me is gear progression. When I came back to the game after my break, I was still wearing lower tier gear, and honestly, the difference in gameplay wasn't very noticeable. Sure, the numbers go up slightly when you deal damage in raids or other activities, but the gameplay itself doesn't really change that much. Even in PvP, perfect gear isn't strictly necessary. I reached mythic rank before without having any arena attunements as well. So the result is that gear progression sometimes feels less impactful than it should. You can pretty much participate in all activities without needing to fully min-max your build. You just need to reach the required amount of gear points. And while that might sound good on paper, it also removes a strong long-term goal for players who enjoy grinding. As someone who has played MMOs for many years, I actually enjoy grinding systems. I enjoy having a goal that takes time to reach. I enjoy slow slowly improving my character and working towards something meaningful. But right now, the progression loop often feels like spend your energy, gather flowers, upgrade mystic skills, clear the outposts, unlock inner ways, a couple chests a day, wait until you reach the next gear tier, and then repeat the process again. Even systems like the energy potions feel strange because gear progression is temporary. Eventually, new tiers appear and you replace the gear anyway, which makes it difficult to decide when to use those resources that are actually worth using. Now again, everything I'm saying here is simply my personal perspective after spending a lot of time in the game. I'd actually love to hear what you guys think as well, so definitely leave your opinions in the comments. Moving on, one of the things that I really respect about Where Winds Meet is that the developers seem to genuinely listen to player feedback, and the community is very passionate about discussing improvements. Oh, and I also heard that clicking the subscribe button improves your RNG for legendary pulls. Try it. Now I want to talk about some ideas that I think could improve the game. Just to be clear, these are simply suggestions based on my experience playing the game. You might agree with them, you might disagree with them, and that's completely fine. The goal is to start a discussion about how the game could evolve in the future. First, I think the game could benefit from reducing the amount of time-gated systems. Not everything needs to be time-limited. Weekly activities are perfectly fine, but the game should also provide meaningful activities that players can grind whenever they want. Second, gear progression could be expanded. Instead of constantly replacing gear tiers, it might be more interesting if players could continuously upgrade their equipment. For example, crafting systems could allow players to gather materials and build specific weapons or armor sets and gradually improve those items over time. Another idea would be adding skill enhancements directly to weapons, for instance. Imagine being able to attach a modification to a sword that increases the AoE radius of a specific ability or changes how a martial arts skill behaves in combat. These enhancements could be crafted from materials dropped by certain enemies or world events, giving players additional reasons to explore and farm different areas. Energy usage could also become more interesting. For example, the game could introduce a tower system where players spend energy to progress through floors filled with increasingly difficult enemies and bosses, and each floor could provide different rewards, and there could even be an infinite tower mode with rankings where players compete to see how far they can climb. Also, weekly boss raids are great and should definitely stay in the game. However, normal raids probably shouldn't consume energy. Instead, their rewards could be adjusted so they become a farmable activity, something players can run repeatedly for materials, upgrades, or special effects. Dungeons could also be expanded significantly. The puzzle mechanics that already exist are actually very enjoyable, so imagine larger dungeon instances designed for 3 to 5 players, let's say, and these could include multiple bosses, puzzles, traps, and unique rewards that encourage group gameplay as well. Another simple quality of life feature I would love to see is an auto loot pet. Jesus, I'm playing too much BDO, but hear me out. Maybe something like a goose companion that you unlock through a quest, and it could automatically collect loot from the defeated enemies, so players don't need to manually pick everything up. And cosmetics versions of that pet could be monetized, like dogs, cats, birds, frogs, and things like that. Housing is another system that could become really interesting. I know you can already build structures using gathered materials, but imagine having a personal home where you can display trophies, rare items, and achievements you've earned throughout the game. You could invite friends to visit, show off rare collectibles, and create a space that represents your character's journey. Taking that idea even further, imagine having your own island, a customizable location where you and your friends can decorate, build structures, hire NPC workers, craft equipment, host activities, and even create small minigames. It could become a social hub where players hang out, play music, dance, run competitions, or just chill while talking on Discord. Oh, and before you roast me in the comments about this, I've seen something like this, but I think it was just for the guild base or something, so feel free to correct me on that. What I mean is more of a personal space. And lastly, flying. I actually love the flying mechanics in this game. They feel very unique compared to many other open world games, but after 500 hours, it sometimes starts to feel a bit awkward. If I want to travel to a location that is, let's say, 500 meters away, sometimes it feels faster just to run or teleport rather than use the flying system. It might be interesting if players could eventually unlock true free flight across the map, maybe tied to exploration progression or some kind of advanced unlock system. This could make traveling across the world feel even more satisfying. And again, these are just ideas. None of this means the game is bad, and it definitely doesn't mean I'm planning to stop playing. I still think Where Winds Meet is an amazing game with huge potential. I just believe that with a few adjustments and more progression systems, the game could become even more engaging for long-term players. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Where Winds Meet content. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!